Okay, so now that we have a fragment created using the support library called Prime Fragment, now we want to use the Fragment Manager and we want to add calls to the activity to actually use the fragment. So the way that we're going to do that is first in the activity, so I've opened Prime Activity, in the onCreate method, we're going to create an instance of a Fragment Manager object. So we've called that FM. Next, we're going to call up our fragment. Oops. By IP. And then we're going to add some code to actually initialize the fragment. And these are standard methods then that interact with adding the fragment to the activity here. So let me type it out and then I'll explain it here. Okay, so fragment transactions are used to add, to remove, to detach, or replace fragments. And this is really the idea that we have a fragment and we want a fluid layout. We want to be able to swap in and out the fragment depending on an action in our app. So basically, this is how we change what appears on the screen in our app using multiple fragments. So the basic method here is the add method. If you look at what we're doing with the add method, we're sending in the fragment's ID, the view, the container. It's actually the container view ID, and then also a newly created fragment. So that ID is used to identify the fragment on in the view. It's also used to manage the list of fragments in FragmentManager. So that's an important ID. And then the fragment itself is what is displayed. So I know using fragments is not a simple thing. There's a few steps involved in getting it to work. Use this code as a template for your other code, and there's tons of good examples out there. Just remember, there's just a couple of basic steps. You gotta create a layout, which has a placeholder for the fragment. You need to create the fragment class, right? So inherit or create a subclass of the fragment class, Android's fragment class. And then we need to add the fragment to the layout. And we have some templated code for doing that. So if you have any questions, run anything, challenges with fragments as we go along, let me know. But I think it's important that we start with fragments. I think that's a real positive of this book is we're going to do it one way and we're going to do it the right way. And if you get into a company situation where you're developing an app, or if you start developing an app on your own, it's always a good idea to start with fragments. And I promise the more you use them, the easier they become to use.